about the SAT. So one of the first steps you can take in order to prepare for this exam is to get yourself familiar with the SAT. So we're going to talk a bit about the SAT's design, structure, and scoring. Alright, so knowing a little about the SAT will help you to be a more effective test taker. You may not know this, but the SAT actually began about 100 years back as an intelligence test. And in fact, right from the get-go, it received a lot of controversy. So ETS, the people who write the test, and College Board, the people who own the test, decided to shift the emphasis from intelligence to scholastic aptitude. They named the test Scholastic Aptitude Test, SAT, and claimed that it measures some level of aptitude in scholastics. So, does it? Do you know who fares better on the SAT, men or women? Men do. That's about 50 points. Do you know who does better in college? Women do. So, does the SAT measure any sort of scholastic aptitude? Obviously not. And ETS agrees. They changed the name of the test to the SAT. Confused? Well, the test no longer stands for anything. SAT is an empty acronym. It's just the test that you have to take to get into college. And we at Princeton Review are not the only ones that believe this to be true. In fact, a couple years back, the University of California threatened to disregard the SAT as a requirement for its applicants. And was ETS about to lose one of its largest clients? Absolutely not. Hence, the writing section being added to the SAT. So, now that you know a little bit about the design, let's talk about the structure.
Hi, my name is Peter, and I'm an SAT teacher for the Princeton Review. Let's talk about the structure of the test. The SAT is 3 hours and 45 minutes long. So when you take into consideration administrative time and breaks, you're looking at over 4.5 hours of testing time. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it hard enough to do anything for 4 hours, let alone take this long multiple choice test on a weekend morning. Well, let's take a look closer at the structure of it. Well, there's 10 sections. 10 sections? That's right, 10 sections. Let's go through what they are. The first section is always going to be the essay. It'll be 25 minutes long. Then there's going to be 3 math sections. 2 25-minute long math sections, and 1 20-minute long math section. 3 reading sections, 2 that are 25 minutes long, and 1 that's 20 minutes long. And 2 writing sections. 1 is 25 minutes long, and 1 is 10 minutes long. So we have the essay, and we have 1, 2, 3 reading, and 1, 2, 3 math, and 1 writing, and then another writing, and that's only 9 sections. Where's the 10th section? Ah, the 10th section. The experimental section. What? The experimental section? Like electrocution? No, no, no. The experimental section is where the College Board gets to try out new questions for future tests on you. It could be math, it could be reading, it could be writing. You have no idea. But what you do know is that it will be one of the 25-minute sections. Now, it doesn't count towards your score, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can't skip it. So what do? Well, here's what you tell yourself. Say you're going through the test, and you come across a section that happens to be particularly tricky because there's a whole bunch of really funky questions. And you know what funky questions will look like because by the time you're done with cracking the SAT, you'll have taken a whole bunch of practice tests and a whole bunch of questions, and you'll know SATs backwards and forwards. So you say to yourself, wow, that was really hard. Those questions were really funky. You know what you can tell yourself? Probably the experimental. That way you don't beat yourself up and you can keep your confidence high moving on to each next section. Let's take a look at the scoring.
Scoring for the SAT. For each of the 3 sections, math, reading, and writing, you're going to receive a score of between 200 to 800, with 500 being the average score. So that's a total possible range of 600 to 2400, with the average score being about 1500. Now, what's a good score on the SAT? 2400 is a good score. I mean, you can't beat that, right? But what about a 2000? Is 1500 a good score? Is 1600 a good score? What's a good score? Remember what the SAT measures. Nothing except for how well you take the SAT. And what is it used for? For you to get into college. So a good score is whatever score gets you into that college that you want to get into. That's it. So let's talk about some strategies and tactics that'll get your score up there to the point you get into the school that you want to get into.